Look who won that fight.
Was that you fighting who would get to give the interview?
Yeah. Hi everyone, welcome to Game Gorgon. My name's Indigo, and today I'm not here with Croog because I beat him into a little pulp. I love Croog so much so that Jason can be here. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, there was only room for one other person at the table, so someone had to go.
Physically impossible. Like we said, the room is literally the size of this screen. It's gonna be weird if we ever have two guests on. Let's get into it. Number one, what are you doing in LA?
I'm down here for the season finale of season 1 of Knights of Everflowing, the show we did with Geek and Sundry. That airs tomorrow, and we're gathering the cast back together to do a live Q&A after the episode airs. This comes on the heels of announcing Season 2 of Knights of Everflame.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. I'm really excited.
It's going to be another 8 episodes.
Okay.
So, we're really excited to see where the story takes us. We're not quite to the end of the first season yet, but at the very end, I want to say there's 10 minutes left at the end, and I leave one gigantic plot thread hanging right in front of their face. Yeah, we'll see you next time. It's really excited to be able to pick that plot thread up and run with it.
Because I know you guys have Oblivion Oath, which is what you guys do in-house. What made you decide to come down and do a full-on big show?
We love Oblivion Oath. Oblivion Oath is me and some folks at Paizo sitting down and playing a game together. Mm-hmm. And that's a blast and something we do every week. There's only so much we can do with it. It's an hour-long show. It's set in our world, but because of the short time frame, there isn't an awful lot I can do with it. So, we looked around for a good partner to do this, and Geek and Sundry just stood up.
For sure.
Like a flare. So we said, you know what, let's partner up with them. They can really bring production values to this, and we can really make a show that we can get out to an awful lot of people and really showcase what Pathfinder 2nd Edition is all about. It's a chance for us to really get the game in front of a lot of people. We did the Tyrant's Grasp Adventure Path right at the end of 1st edition. That had some big world-changing events in it, and I set both of these campaigns around that event so that I could tell other parts of the story and really flesh out the tale of what was happening when, spoilers. That was a spoiler, sorry. Play faster. While Oblivion Oath is kind of going in one direction, Everflame is going in a different direction. Mm-hmm. And Everflame also gave me a chance to revisit the module I wrote, the very first module I wrote for Pathfinder 1st Edition, which was Crypt of the Everflame. The stories are tied together in some really interesting ways, and it kind of brings the whole story full circle. We go back to the town of Cass, and it's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have a game that we're also streaming of Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Something to do with birds, right?
You have significant constraints of what you need to get out.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with 8 episodes.
Yeah, it's a real big challenge. It's not like a home game where I can just be we'll pick this up next time.
Yeah.
So I write all of my adventure scripts for these. I like to call it like an accordion. Mm-hmm. I can expand it out, or I can collapse it down to get where I need to go. I'll put that in if I have time. If I don't have time, it goes. Ultimately, the game is going to play out how the game's going to play out. There's a little bit more planning I have to do with a lot of different, what if they do this, what if they do that, what if they do this, just so that we can keep filming. There's something about it that just focuses everyone's attention and really makes the story go. Just getting a bunch of people and sitting around that table and with all the lights in your face, everybody else you can't see.
Yeah.
So it's just the group of you playing, and it's really kind of magical.
Okay, so we've talked about Knights of Everflame.
Yeah.
What does Paizo have for 2nd Edition? Now that we've talked a little bit about...
You got this.
Yeah.
You got this. I know you do.
Oh, no, you should see the edits. Oh, my God. We stopped so many times. All right, now we've talked a little bit about the Knights of Everflame.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what Paizo has for us for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. You've just made some announcement on that end as well.
The big thing is, right now, internally, we're wrapping up the Game Master Guide and getting that to the printer. The thing that I think most people are super excited about is the upcoming playtest for the Advanced Player's Guide. At Gen Con, we announced that next year's big core release at Gen Con was going to be the Advanced Player's Guide. I think anybody who played Pathfinder 1st Edition saw it coming a million miles away.
Yeah.
This was a chance for us to kind of expand out the core of the game. We're really kind of looking at this as building out what is basically the core nucleus of what Pathfinder 2nd Edition is. Core rulebook, you got your Game Mastery Guide, you got your Bestiary, and you got your Advanced Player's Guide. Those 4 we really kind of expect are at every game table. Beyond that, I don't know. We'll get more experimental. We'll go off in different directions. But for the Advanced Player's Guide, we know this has to be the book that kind of gives you more of the central conceit of the game. To that end, we have 4 new classes in it. They're adapted classes from first edition. They're not new. They're new.
You heard it first. Brand new, never
They're
before.
brand new. Oh, I better get back to the office quick. There's the Swashbuckler, Investigator, the Witch, and there's the Oracle. We're going to be releasing those in probably late October now for a public playtest. So you'll get a chance to play with them right away. They won't be final until Gen Con.
Yeah.
It should give everyone a taste of what direction we're going with the classes. And I'm really excited. We just had our internal kickoff on the design of these, and we've got some great stuff in store.
Now, we're not about to start the section in which I ask you a bunch of questions you can't answer, but I'm about to ask you a question that you may not be able to answer. Are these going to be core classes as in like Rogue and Fighter, or are they going to be kind of like adaptations of current existing classes?
They're going to be their entire own standalone classes.
I love it.
In addition, the book's going to have like 60 pages of archetypes.
Sure.
That's going to allow us to fully customize out other characters. You're going to get more class feats for every class that's in the core rulebook. You're going to get more ancestry feats. You're going to get more ancestries. We've got like 10 ancestry options in the book. You're going to get more spells. You're going to get more feats. This book is really here to give you more of just what the game already is, to kind of round out and give you more features and things to play with. First of all, we couldn't make the core rulebook any bigger, so some of this content had to go in a different book.
640 pages, it was a lot. And we're like, but I want more. And we're like, I don't know if that's like is that a bad thing?
I'm gonna wager everyone in my financial department's like, yes. No, it is. That's what we want, though. We want you to want more of the game, and we want to give it to you. So, the Advanced Player's Guide is really there to kind of round out some of those options, and it also gives us a year to gauge everyone's feedback.
Sure.
What do you think you need more of? And then, lo and behold, we put it in the book. We pretty firmly believe that if you tell us you want a thing and then we give it to you, you will trade us money for it.
I believe that is called capitalism. Giving everybody what they want, but also in a timeline in which it makes it not only viable for all of you to do, but also like not crunching everyone down to such like, okay, great, you don't get to go see your family in the next 6 months.
You have to read the book. For us, it is a big crunch for us. But it's, that's our jobs.
Yeah.
We get paid to go write rules about dragons. My editors already come to my office on a regular basis and are like, what are you doing? Please stop. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to add in 16 more pages, I promise.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
It's going to be fine. No, I love our editors. They are the ones who make my word good. We have so many people who touch these books and make them awesome. I can't thank them enough.
Sure.
Like, they are an amazingly talented core of professionals. It's not just us writing rules, scribbling rules on, napkins and handing them to you. Like, there's a lot of people who touch these books, and it's really kind of an amazing amount of work that goes into each one of these.
I don't think you guys talked about it much. I know you talked about it a little bit at Gamma, and I don't know if you've talked about it much past that, but the conversation about the bestiary, about how you guys were able to pack so much into the book by kind of cutting away a little bit of some of the, not necessarily unnecessary, but like some of the frivolous stuff.
So, yeah, first edition Monsters had an incredibly deep well of information about how they were built and how they were constructed and all these feats that go into all their numbers, and then they die in 3 rounds and you never learn about any of it. And for second edition, we just said, we're not doing that anymore. It's just like, we need him to have a +8. We know it's a +8. So, like, the classic example of this in first edition is that if you look at, like, Fae, they always, for their level, for their CR, have, like, twice as many hit dice as everybody else. Because they are getting D6s and get half BAB, if we want them to be able to attack people, we have to give them twice as many hit dice to make up for it. So they always have outrageous, like, saves and stuff. That's why Fae were always weird like that. And it was just a byproduct of us trying to force the numbers to do what we needed them to do. In second edition, we don't do that anymore. We just are like, okay, this is a 7th level monster. These is what the baseline numbers are. Oh, we want this guy to be heavily armored so he's harder to hit, but we should probably take his hit points down so he's a bit more of a glass cannon. And ultimately, it's more art than science. First edition was science. This is more art. It's about deciding what you want the monster to be and then making that thing a reality.
Because that, to me, sounds like it's second nature to you guys.
Yeah,
Are you all literally crunching numbers on the weekends?
The big secret is, all games at their very heart is kind of a large, complex math formula. My joke has always been, go home and do my math and have fun doing it. Fundamentally, what you're doing is playing around with an evolving math formula that equates to your game experience at the table. Monsters are just the opposite side of that from the players. generally speaking. I think the hard part for us is just making sure that everybody else understands the reasoning behind that, and once we give those rules out, because those rules are going to come out sooner than the Game Mastery Guide. They live in the Game Mastery Guide. We're going to release them early as a free PDF because we want people to have them sooner.
Sure.
Fundamentally, we want everybody to understand that, hey, this is what you're trying to do is find the place where at its level this monster feels right. Whenever you fight a monster, I want you to kind of walk away from the encounter going, that monster did exactly everything I thought it was going to do. Instead of this kind of artificial, like, do you feel good about those numbers being similar to other numbers? And that's not to be flippant about it, but that is less important than did this thing do what we wanted it to do in the game space.
So now we're going to get into my favorite part, which is questions that Jason can't answer that you all submitted.
I'm going to try and answer as many of these as possible.
Let's see how this goes.
I'm going to fail.
Question number 1 is going to be coming from our YouTube community channel, and that's going to be from Vampire Wear Goat.
So is it a vampire that turns into a goat?
I'm just going to leave it at that. Any plans to release playable ancestries like werewolves and fairies?
That's a two-pronged question, because I would say that being a werewolf is actually not an ancestry per se.
Sure.
It's a curse that can get applied to your ancestry.
Okay.
I'm literally spitballing here. What we might do is say, you know what, your lycanthropy is permanent. It is a heritage choice for you, and now there are extra feats you can choose that are based on you having some werewolf in you.
Okay.
I could see us building that. So yes. And as far as fairy, yeah, absolutely. We can totally do, like, oh, you're a brownie. Congrats. Here's what you get for being a brownie. Here are the brownie feats.
Sure.
Do you have nuts? Do you have caramel? Wait, no.
That's the different kind
I was thinking of different.
Yeah. I realized I have not been wearing my hat.
This whole time, I came down here for the hat.
Second question we have from R. McDudd, which is, when is Pathfinder 2nd Edition's version of the Gunslinger coming out?
All right, I can't answer. It's not scheduled to be part of the Advanced Player's Guide, but I will tell you this. It's a class that we know there is a subset of our players who want,
sure,
and then there's a subset of our players who are like, I'm not going to allow that, period, because guns are a very divisive thing in games. Until you talk about pirates, and then everybody's like, well, I mean, pirates, whatever. This is a class that we know we're going to include in the game at some point in time. I'm not sure what form it's going to take. Whether or not it's a full class, whether or not it's an archetype that everybody can take, that way everybody can have a gun, I'm not sure. But I do know this. When we do put it out, we want to make sure we're able to support it with a robust selection of guns, and we don't have room for that in the Advanced Player's Guide, so that's why the class isn't in there. I would say that we are looking very hard at our schedule at a place where that will fit sooner rather than later.
Okay. Anytime someone talks about Pathfinder, like, you talk about Witch, you talk about the Gunslinger, you talk about those classes that are so off from everyone else.
Yeah, and some of these have such a strong theme that I could almost build a whole book around them.
Sure.
I don't want to say when or what we're doing right now, but I do want to say that we're thinking really hard about this stuff. And we want to make sure we get it out soon, but we also don't want 2nd edition to just be, here's a repeat of everything you saw in 1st edition over and over and over again.
Yeah.
We want to give you new stuff, too.
And let's be honest, the Oracle is more important.
We did this survey, I think it was 3 years ago. Okay. Before we announced 2nd edition. And we did it through the Pathfinder Society, and we called it the Pathfinder Character Census.
Okay.
And we were like, oh yeah, Pathfinder Society really wants to know. We really wanted to know what people were playing because we didn't have good statistics on what people were playing and how many levels they were playing at. And as a result, that's how we determined that the Alchemist was going to be the class added to the game, because it was the most consistently played class.
AKA best. Next we have Pyrogut, who is asking, who makes the best and or most cheese in Galarian?
Taldor.
Done.
It's well known for having excess. And what says excess more than cheese?
Okay.
Now that says there's got to be other amazing cheeses throughout the world of Galarian, right? So if you go to Nadal, you're going to get some shadow cheese. Smoky, smooth. When you're done eating it, you lose a level.
Next question is from Atreus, which is the Menge class going to be a playable class, or did it get axed in favor of multiclassing?
I would say that its fate hasn't yet been determined.
Okay.
I think that one of the strengths of 2nd edition is that if you're playing a Magus, you can pretty much make that character. There's some aspects that you're kind of missing out on, and some of those you might be able to cash in pretty easily. But you can make that character work right now. But that said, I'm not sure that that's the only way I want that class to work. There may be ways for us to explore that kind of deeper and kind of play it out more than that. Does that mean it's its own class, or does it mean it's an archetype that you can take to kind of flavor yourself more appropriately? I'm not sure yet.
Next is from Weird and Quirky, which is, 1, Jason, how are you so awesome? Guess why I picked this question. And second, are there any classes that managed to get cut, basically, is the gist of their question. Is there any classes that you just basically said, no?
How did I become so awesome?
Born like that?
I'm not. I'm a gamer who rolls his dice 1d20 at a time, just like everybody else. I just get paid for it. No, and are there any classes that didn't make it? There was a period of time in second edition's design where we literally were taking the whole class mix and tossing it up in the air. Can we even do this? And then we all came to our senses and said, no, we can't. Those classes have to be in the game. Monk, for a period of time, we were like, do we actually want to take the monk and hold it for a book where it can sit with other classes of a similar concept? And we went, no, we can't. No, absolutely not. There are some aspects of classes that we kind of left on the cutting room floor, like, Rangers lost spellcasting in the core. It just wasn't a good fit for them, and we wanted to take them in some more interesting directions. There were other parts of the game that didn't quite make it, but I think a lot of it just kind of did. Whether or not it changed or altered in the course of the playtest and development is another thing.
Ending at the cutting room floor doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't exist. It just means that it might get either pushed further down the line, or it might end up in the game in just a different fashion.
Yeah, that which is dead can eternal lie, and with strange eons, even the summoner may rise.
Next is from Amir Hussein, who is asking, some people from Paizo specifically said that as soon as first edition got printed, you all started working on second edition. Their question is how's third edition coming?
So as the person who said that initially, that second edition did start the moment first edition went to the printer. Yeah, you're not wrong. There are always things that when we're designing a game, we go, we can't do that. And does that mean that third edition has started? Well, kind of. There's a file of things that are just like, yeah, we couldn't make that work. That wasn't part of the game. It wouldn't fit the engine. We like the idea. We're going to save it. We're going to put it in a file somewhere, and we'll look at it when the time comes. And over the years, that file will grow because there's always going to be more things that we kind of build and design and are like, wow, this is awesome, and I can't do anything with this right now, so it's just going to sit. It's coming along well. You can expect to see it in, I have no idea how many years, but it's going to be a while.
Sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
Gabriel Tessa asks, are there going to be any plans for Dragon Ancestry Druid? Now,
one of the things we haven't figured out how to do yet is what we're going to do with more powerful ancestries. Ancestries that start out with some oomph. I don't think we know what we're going to do with those yet. Dragon would certainly fall in that category because we're not going to have you play a whelpling. It's like, oh, you're adorable. Look at you. And you just kind of stumble around the battlefield and the monsters don't attack you because you're too cute. That is something we need to consider. And how do we make that work? And how do we make it feel kind of fun and that you are awesome without also overshadowing everyone else at the table? So it's a tricky kind of widget to figure out.
Yeah.
I think the right answer is probably going to be something like, yeah, this is an advanced ancestry. And if someone at the table is playing an advanced ancestry, maybe everybody at the table should be playing an advanced ancestry. But I'm getting way ahead of myself.
Yeah.
So do we have any plans? As much as I just said. So
yes.
So I guess now we kind of do. But where are those going to land? I don't know yet. I'll figure it out.
Next, John from YouTube is also asking us, are you ever thinking about creating an RPG that does not rely on hit points?
It is such a big part of Pathfinder just because of our heritage and lineage of the game that, it's not something we really deeply considered. I've played a lot of games without a hit point system that have more like a wound track or just kind of a much more lethal, like, yeah, don't
You're
take
dead.
more than 2 hits or you die, right? I do enjoy those games, but they're very different games. I think those games lead to a much different kind of narrative tension. It gives you kind of a broad spectrum of just like, nope, we're just fighting, and I'm going to take hits, and that's the ebb and flow of it. But I don't have to worry about it crippling me or anything like that. We just get to keep fighting until now we're not fighting, now I'm dying. That leads to kind of the type of story that we're telling of these heroic people whacking and hacking at each other until one side wins. That's kind of the narrative there. The moment that becomes more of a levels or a metric kind of system, I think you end up with a very different game.
Next, we're going to move over to some of the questions we got on our Discord. We got from Wilfer. are you working on any additional Pathfinder video games? We had Kingmaker, which it was a very fun game. I've gone through it and I've played it. I really loved it.
Yeah, I recently beat it. Yeah.
Are there any plans to bring any additional Pathfinder video games out there?
So, interestingly enough, we don't work on video games at all,
Yes,
right?
yes.
They're licenses.
Yeah.
I would say that, the first Kingmaker did really, really well for us. And whether or not we do another one is kind of up to Owlcat and some negotiations with them. So, I don't know. This is one of those that I literally just can't say. They don't even tell me until it's
by the way, we made a video game.
By the way, we made a video game. And I'm like, oh, cool.
If you could see a storyline that you guys have done adventure path-wise, that could be turned into a video game, what adventure path would you like to see?
Well, it hasn't been written yet because it's mine, and I just want a video game written of my stories.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, no, I think there's a lot of really great ones out there. If you look back at a lot of the adventure paths that we've done over the years, there's some that would make a really awesome video game. Going to the World Wound and dealing with demons. Yes, please, sign me up for more. I really think almost any of our adventure paths would work really well. Some I think might lend themselves better than others. Fundamentally, that's like the brand team is figuring out which ones work best and that sort of stuff. And I just kind of go, yeah, those mechanics work.
All right, next question is going to come from, I'm not joking, level 5 Orc 26. They want to know, why are cantrips based off of level versus max spell level?
So this would be the sort of thing that, like, if your rogue manages to learn the ability to cast a cantrip, it's just as good as the wizard's cantrip. The reason we did that is because those actions, cantrips in particular, are meant to be kind of scaling in value so that they always are a viable but behind curve option. If you're out of other things to do, a cantrip's a good idea. For wizards, that's a fine thing to do when it's like, well, I don't need to burn another high level spell. This guy has next to no hit points left. I'm just going to throw a frost ray at him or something. But for the other characters, if those didn't advance at all, they would never really be truly worth taking, or rather there'd only be one or two of them that are worth taking because their base ability is valuable enough. We want all of your choices to be interesting and meaningful.
Sure.
So if you're a rogue with the ability to throw, a ray of frost, we want that to be something that is a viable option for you and not something that everybody else at the table is just like, why are you? So they do compete directly with the casters on that, but the casters have all of their higher level spells, which are vastly more powerful.
And they're gaining more spells.
And being like, congrats, kid, you shoot a pretty good ray of frost, is a consolation prize at best for those characters.
This question brought up a lot of debate on our Discord. Why do you hate necromancers so much?
Listen, I normally play paladins and necromancers are evil, so I just gave them no options.
So you're a jerk.
The best part of being a game designer is just like, I get to...
You play favorites.
I get to make the game win for me, personally. No, so I think one of the things I'm most excited to do for necromancers, so like, we changed a lot of magic to be back in the necromancy school because we wanted necromancy to deal with the forces of life and death, because that made for a more interesting school, which means you could have white robe necromancers and black robe necromancers, and that kind of works.
Well, and that aspect of it, I actually I like very much. Like,
so
it's a veil. The issue that came about the necromancer is the fact that you can't live that like, I can bring up an army of undead.
Give me a little bit. I thought about this a lot when we were putting some of this together, and we needed the basics, right?
Sure.
We needed the basics of you can create undead and things like that, primarily for story purposes. Of the bad guy makes a ghoul out of someone's kid and then unleashes it on the town. That's a good story. No, it's not. Wait, actually, that's horrible. But what we didn't have, to be honest, room for was all of the text to allow you to be like, yep, no, I'm going to summon up a swarm of skeletons. And I say swarm particularly because I think that's the coolest way to use them, especially at higher levels. I want to give you the rule that says summon undead horde that then plops a 20 by 20 template on the battle map that's just nothing but skeletons that walks around and stabs and attacks people that you can command. I want you to give you that.
Sure.
But there just wasn't room. I'm trying to find good ways to do that. I think I know where I'm going to put a lot of that material now. You might have to wait until I can get it out, but I do want to give necromancers more options because, to be honest, the Whispering Tyrant's my boy, and I need to give him the right tools to terrify players.
One of the requests that we were getting was like, hey, make build videos, right? And so one of the first ones I was like, whenever I'm playing a fantasy game, the number one thing that I Google is how to make a necromancer. Yeah. And I was going through the rules and I was like, I can't make a necromancer.
No, there's not quite enough there yet. There are some things that we're going to be coming out with relatively soon that should alleviate the problem to some extent, and over time we'll fix it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
That was my question and I went last. So.
Oh, I see. I thought the name sounded familiar.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. What is the best way for people to either reach out to you or see other content that you're creating or doing?
So there's a couple different ways that they can do that. Obviously, if they want to learn more about Pathfinder and what Paizo is up to, you want to go to Paizo.com. There's also, Paizo is on Facebook and Twitter and Twitch. Most of the Twitch, we're at twitch.tv/official Paizo. That's where you're going to find us streaming Oblivion. We also do some weekly shows on there. So that's one way to learn kind of about us constantly. As for me, you can find me on just about every social media platform there is with, Facebook.com, Twitter.com, Twitch.com/Jason Bulmahn. Make sure to put the H in the right spot. BULMAHN.
Oh, you got an Instagram?
I do have an Instagram.
What's your TikTok?
I don't have a TikTok yet.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
If you want to reach me, you can reach me on Twitter at IndigoQT, or you can reach Croog and myself at any of the following social medias down below. One of them's Patreon if you want to see more content like this. If you want us to harass Jason and or more Paizo people, let us know.
I'm only here because you guys keep calling me out at the start of videos.
I'm only
here to make you stop.
Calling you guys out on Twitter. We do it on a regular basis. It's become a new Wednesday thing for me. If you want us to have more interviews, we've already done one with Owen, who's no longer with all of you, but we did that. We want to do some more Starfinder interviews in the future because it is something that we all very much enjoy. So if you want to see any of that, go down in the comments. Let us know what you want to see from there. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Don't hit that bell icon because it doesn't do anything.
It irritates you.
It irritates you and mathematically proves that you will actually unsubscribe. Yeah, that's it. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next time.